Hey everyone, welcome to the AdCup Show. Today we'll talk about one of the most intense geopolitical questions out there. Will America invade Iran? And by that, I mean boots on the ground. And if the answer is yes, then under what circumstances that would happen? It's a topic that's been buzzing lately, especially with tensions in the Middle East heating up. If you ask this question to an average American, then his response would be big no. He or she would not want America to go to war with Iran under any circumstances. But that's not how geopolitics work. You see, Iran is a major player in the Middle East with anti-American and anti-Israel policies. It's a country with a population of over 90 million, a powerful military, and a control over the Strait of Hormuz from where 20% of the world's oil flows. So under what circumstances would the US, with its own massive military, consider something as extreme as ground invasion? Well, there are 5 key scenarios that could push things to that point. First up, a direct attack on American interests. Picture this, Iran or one of its proxy groups like Hezbollah or the Houthis. By the way, America has already lost a war with Houthis. If they launch a major strike on US military base and if that attack causes significant American casualties, the US could see it as an act of war. If the body count is high, then the pressure to respond with force, potentially even boots on the ground, could skyrocket. Now the question is, what is high casualties? Do you think America will launch a ground invasion of Iran if, let's say, 20 or maybe 30 Americans die in an Iranian strike? The answer is no. The US would simply carry out air and drone strikes. We already have examples of Iraq and Afghanistan. But here's the thing, if a ground invasion happens, then it would be a huge leap from airstrikes or drone operations, which the US prefers, because Iran is not a small target. It's a way bigger than Iraq or Afghanistan, with a fierce military and a population ready to resist. Scenario number 2 is Iran's nuclear program. The US has made it crystal clear that it won't let Iran get a nuclear bomb. Right now, as of June 2025, Iran has enriched uranium up to 60%, which is dangerously close to weapons grade. Facilities like Fordow were recently bombed by bunker buster bombs, but there is no clear evidence that the objective was achieved. If those airstrikes fail and Iran is on the brink of going nuclear, the ground invasion might be considered to secure those sites. The word to note here is might. And an invasion to stop a nuclear program would be a logistical nightmare. Iran's terrain is mountainous and its forces are well equipped. Plus, the fallout, both literal and diplomatic, would be massive. Scenario 3 is an Israel-Iran war pulling in the US. Israel's been hitting Iran's nuclear and military sites hard since June 13, 2025, trying to cripple its capabilities. But Iran is not sitting still. They are hitting Israel with missiles and proxies. If Iran targets US forces in the region because of America's support for Israel, things could spiral. The US might send troops to protect its ally or to finish what Israel started, especially if facilities like Fordow are still operational. Here, the scenario should be like Israel goes on a back foot and is unable to defend itself. Only in that case, the US might come for help, and guess what? An average American doesn't want that. He or she doesn't care about Israel or Iran. This is because of America's internal dynamics. The US and Israel are tight allies, but jumping into a full-scale war with Iran would be a tough sell to American public who are still scarred from Iraq and Afghanistan. Scenario 4 is regional chaos threatening global oil supplies. Iran controls Strait of Hormuz, a choke point for 20% of world's oil. If Iran blockades it with naval mines or attack US allies like Saudi Arabia or the UAE, the US could step in to secure the region. Bases in Qatar, Kuwait, and Bahrain host thousands of US troops, and any attack on them could trigger a response. But even in this scenario, the ground invasion would be the last resort if airstrikes and naval operations can't do the job. Moreover, America no longer buys its oil from the Middle East. It is self-sufficient now. However, disrupting global energy market hits everyone's wallet, so the pressure to act would be intense. But invading Iran to secure oil routes is a gamble with huge risks. Finally, scenario 5 is regime change. Some US and Israeli leaders want Iran's government gone, seeing it as a root of regional instability. If Iran's leadership weakens, say after the death of Supreme Leader Khamenei, and internal protest explodes, the US might see a chance to intervene. But here's the kicker. Iran is not Iraq or Afghanistan. It's got 90 million people, a strong sense of national pride, and a military ready to fight. An invasion for regime change could trigger into a decades-long nightmare with trillions of dollars of extra debt. The Iraq war cost trillions and destabilized the region. Iran would be an even tougher nut to crack. Now let's talk reality. A ground invasion of Iran is highly unlikely because first, the American public is not on board. Polls show only 12% support war with Iran. Second, Congress is pushing back. Third, Iran's size and strength make it a whole different beast from past wars. And don't forget the global stage. China and Russia, which are Iran's partners, wouldn't sit quietly. Instead of invasion, the US is more likely to stick with airstrikes, cyber attacks, or supporting allies like Israel. Diplomacy, though shaky, is still on the table. Indirect talks could cool things down if both sides want it. Donald Trump definitely wants that. An invasion of Iran wouldn't just be a US-Iran issue. It could reshape the Middle East, spike oil prices, and even pull in global powers like China and Russia. The stakes are huge, and history shows us wars like this don't end quickly. Plus, the US is not what it used to be. It's on decline and has many internal issues to solve. The appetite to control, command, and enforce through force is depleting in the US discourse. So these are the scenarios that could, in theory, lead to a US invasion of Iran. However, even those scenarios don't give confirmation that US would 100% invade Iran. So what do you think? Could any of these scenarios actually play out, or is the US too war-weary to take on Iran? Or are there any other scenarios where the US might put boots on ground? Drop your thoughts in comments below and let's keep the convo going. If you found this analysis insightful, then don't forget to like and subscribe. This is AdCup Show signing off. Peace out.